Yay.
Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. I think, are we live? Did we
We
make
are
it?
live.
Yes, welcome to day three of
Day
our
three.
What's My Book challenge. We are here. We are halfway through, and in the world of corporate, this is hump day. Okay. We are so glad to have you. We're glad to be supporting you. We've been getting emails and messages and comments about one that you're really enjoying the information, two sharing what some of your personal biggest challenges
Mhm.
are in your publishing journey. Some of you that are here, you're already published authors and you're looking to either write your next book or you're looking to understand how to improve the book that you've already started. And so we are absolutely excited to be supporting you here. So we wanted to kind of rewind just a little bit and to start with a little bit of a baseline about ChatGPT, because another one of the conversations that we've been having is, hey, you know what? I'm not really that techie in this whole ChatGPT world. I don't know it very well. And I can completely respect that. I understand that not everyone is technologically savvy. And so we want to make sure that you feel supported, and we can hold your hand along the journey with that. So we wanted to just show you ChatGPT. We have put into our chat the chat of the challenge, not ChatGPT.
The chatty chat from the challenge.
Chatty chat from the chat. We have put the link to ChatGPT. It is my application, AI application of choice. There are many others out there, but for the sake of this challenge and the work that we do together, we do use ChatGPT. I really use it primarily because it's learned me. It's learned how I speak,
Mhm.
my tone, my business, my challenges. I mean, it's learned so much that at some other point, I think we should teach a whole other class on how to maximize really having a relationship with ChatGPT as a therapist, quite frankly.
I mean, it can do so much, right? Like it's helping us organize all of our thoughts for this challenge. We're giving these prompts to you so that you can use it to almost be like your own assistant. Really, is how you can look at it. It's not doing the writing for you. It's helping you with ideation and organization of all the things that are coming together. And so that's why we want you to keep it. So you see the box here, how chat GPT at the top, what can I help you with? So every time you type a prompt in, if you don't click on the little arrow doohickey next to 4.0, you will continue to use the same thread. So this is what we're talking about when we say use the same conversation with ChatGPT, because they build on one another. And
And I'm going
so,
to show you an example of
yep.
that right now. So I input our our day one prompt. So a prompt is what you're telling ChatGPT that you want it to give you information on. That is what a prompt is.
Mhm.
So our day one prompt was helping you identify why you need a book. What is the why? What is your why for writing this book? So mine, I started with, I am the founder of, and that's where you enter your own information. I entered Publishing Support Services Company. I'm the founder of a publishing support services company named Rainmaker Publishing. Little spelling here. I'm the founder of a publishing support services company. It's okay. Don't mind me. I promise you, I am in publishing. These spelling errors are because I just jammed in and did these really quickly. Your book, I promise you, I'm not your editor,
No,
A. So I'm the founder of a publishing support services company named Rainmaker Publishing that helps entrepreneurial and creative people. I know entrepreneurial, I'm not going to fix it, but that's another thing. ChatGPT kind of can read between the lines of our brains sometimes. Entrepreneurial and creative people use a book to gain authority and grow their business. I want to write my own. Now, here's the prompt, right? Here's what we're wanting. We've given a little bit of background. Now, here's what we want ChatGPT to do. I want to write my own book, me, to help me build authority within my industry and grow my business so that I can get clear on my big why for writing this book. And so my messaging stays clear throughout it. Please help me articulate my why for writing this book. So when we press this little arrow, ChatGPT is going to give us, it's going to just break down its response. So I'm not going to show you how to revise that in case the prompt that it gave you isn't exactly what you want, because that's not the point of this lesson right now. The point is really just to show you a little bit about ChatGPT.
Yes.
So once you get your first response, let's say that's perfect. I'm not even going to read it. Again, not the point. So the second prompt that we gave you on day 2, you put it directly into this same message. So
Yes.
now what's happening is ChatGPT is working off of that first iteration of information that it provided for you, and it's piggybacking in its own brain, I guess, if you will,
Yeah.
to now give you cohesion of an answer that fits, that matches what it was sharing in prompt 1. So that's what we want you to do. You have the link in chat. We want you to keep everything inside of the same conversation. And then there you go. Right?
Yep.
There you go.
So Kenyon, I see you have a comment that thank you so much for doing this. You're welcome. You weren't the only one who had questions about it. And so please, as we go through everything, please use the chat and leave questions for us. We will answer them as they pop up. Don't feel like you have to wait till the end, because chances are you'll forget the question because you didn't write it down. So just put them in the chat and we will answer your questions as we continue to move.
Absolutely. It's super helpful. And also it helps us engage with you, which we love. I mean, engagement is like, is everything in the world of what we're doing. So tonight is all about uncovering your book's core idea. So again, as we shared, every step is working off of previous steps. And here's why we started with your why and your audience rather than just jumping into, hey, let's have a conversation about what your book's about. Because by identifying those two pieces of the work that you do, why do you need a book? You need a book because you want to grow your audience. You need a book, and I can go back to what my specific why was. But so you identified why you need a book, right? Then we identified who your audience is. Who is the audience based on the work that you do in the world? So I'm Naja Hayward, based on the work that I do in the world as the founder of a publishing company that helps entrepreneurs and creatives build a book to gain authority, grow their business. I have a whole set of data that I extracted from day 2 prompt that helped me to articulate and clarify my audience, where I find them, the demographics of who they are, the psychographics, how they think, where they shop, what's important to them. So that piece of information collectively, those 2 prompts are going to help us now work on day 3 of uncovering your book's core idea. Today is what this entire challenge is about. The title of this challenge is What's My Book? We're going to uncover exactly what that is tonight, and I'm going to show you. And I'm so excited. Like, a part of me is just like, I'm 5 steps ahead in my brain, and so I'm like stuttering. This is my nerd coming out, like, very awkward. But okay, so the first step that we're going to do here is we want to review how your why ties into your content. So Heather, I'm going to let you go ahead with that.
Yeah. So we all have different reasons for why, we chose the field that we're in, or we started our business, or why we're writing a book. Your why ties to your content, because what we're going to do tonight, I'm stealing a little bit of Naja's thunder, but what we're going to do tonight is really take a look at all the things you already know and how your why connects to all the things you already know and that you talk about. Because if you think about it, like, we all have that something that we can talk about without any preparation. We don't need notes or a teleprompter or anything like that. We have something we can talk about for 30 minutes. We all have that thing. Is that thing tied to your why? It could be. It should be. And so that we're going to pull your why. We already did it through day 2, and we're going to keep pulling it through day 3.
as we shared on day one, knowing why you need your book is going to be utilized even down into your marketing strategy, right? Because
Absolutely.
that articulation is always going to it's going to start to integrate. It's going to start to integrate every other piece of the process into this one beautiful delivery called a published book.
Yep.
So the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to introduce the concept of auditing your existing materials to find your book's foundation. And so I started my publishing company 2.5 years ago. It started with me publishing this one little book called Your 60-Second Video Rockstar. I had never published a book. I had talked about publishing a book for over 10 years. I had lists of titles, and I think it was those lists that held me back from publishing, partially because there were so many ideas of what I could have written about and that I wanted to write about. In my business, I had an entire list of ideas of things that I could have written about in my business that would have supported me in getting clients and building my platform and all of those things, but I didn't know where to start. Of course, then inside of my family and things that interested me. So the first thing that I boiled down was the best book to start with for me was my business book, because a book as having a book as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a brand, it helps you to grow your business in a way that gives you the freedom to do the other things that you want to do. So I knew I wanted it to be a business book. So the second piece for me was doing this content audit. What I did was I literally went through through my entire computer. I went through topics that I was speaking about, because I used to speak quite a bit. I was on so many stages. I would do Zoom events. I would do live speaking events, and I did a lot of that. I also was very visible on social media in a different way that I'm visible now. So I did this daily thing called Rise and Shine. And every morning I was doing these 15-second videos that would give inspiration to entrepreneurs. And doing those videos helped me build a multi-six-figure business, because people were coming to me and they're like, will you coach me? Will you be my coach? I wasn't doing these videos to try and get clients, but because I was visible and I was showing up every single day and I was consistent and I was giving value through these little videos, people were like, I need your help. I need you to help me build my business. And so I was like, okay, that's great. So then I realized these little videos are the thing that's getting me visible to the very person that I want to hire me. These little videos, these little 15-second videos are why I've been able to actually generate the money I've been able to generate inside of my business. And so I ended up working with a woman who was helping me to convert my so I ended up she ended up helping me create a program around this, and it was called the 60-Second Video Rockstar. We made it the 60-second video rockstar because at the time Instagram had changed their rules from being able to do 15 minutes to now all of a sudden you can do 60 seconds. And so I was like, wow, this is great because it gives me more time. And so now people were saying, you know what, I don't really know if I want to do video. I'm not sure. And I was like, wait a minute, you absolutely can do video. So I became an advocate for people going live and doing video to promote themselves. So once I created this course and I sold this course for like $250, and I had probably like 250 people that went through the course, and I had this whole community. So when I was doing my content audit, something that made the most sense was, wait a minute, I have this successful course that I created on a topic that was really, it was actually, for me, it was a really important topic because I believe that as entrepreneurs, we all should be getting visible. Visibility, we get visible in a lot of different ways. Your book is a visibility tool, by the way. But for me, video was a huge visibility tool for people to build their business. And so it made sense as I was going through my speaking topics, as I was going through my computer of all the things that I had created, that this would be my first book, that I could actually take something that I had already created, a course, and turn it into a book. So I want you to really consider as you're doing your content audit, and we're going to show you step by step how to do that, that your book may already be written. So you might do your content audit and think, oh wow, there's a great topic inside, or there's, because I've spoken about these things, but the book isn't quite written, or you created a course that can easily be converted into a published book. So keep this in mind, that there's more than one way to skin a cat in this process of uncovering really what your topic is through content audit. Anything you want to add to that, Heather?
No, I just think that a lot of people dismiss that they have this, or they know they have the content, but they don't know they have the content. Like they've done trainings, they've delivered corporate training, they've done one-on-one coaching with clients, and they have a whole catalog of content for their coaching program.
It's so true. So true. I really want you to really give yourself a pat on the back right now, because there's so much more that you've created that you give yourself credit for. And when we can give ourselves credit and say, wow, I'm kind of bad A. I'm kind of cool, right? I've spoken, I've done trainings, I've gotten in front of corporate groups, I've been in front of networking organizations. My skill set, my brain power, my superpower, the things that I do that no one else in the world can do, that I teach people, that actually happens to provide a livelihood for me, can very well be a published topic that people can learn from. And when it becomes a public topic, a topic that you put into a book that people can learn from, then there's also going to be a way for them to move into my world, to learn how to work with me one-on-one, or to learn how to hire me for their organization to speak. So please give yourself credit for the thing that you do so naturally, that you humbly every single day just put one foot in front of the other and do without giving yourself credit.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I already spoke. This is Seema Barwani. She is a phenomenal human being, but she is now teaching people how to turn their book into a course. So there's two things that you can do here. If you already have a book, you can turn your book into a course, and you can leverage that as a tool. So that is actually one of the things that I want you to consider, that in Manuscripts to Millions, the Entrepreneur's Guide to Using a Book to Gain Authority and Grow Your Business, a part of growing your business with a book is potentially turning that book into a course. Now, I did it the other way. I created a course first, and then I turned that course into a book. And so being able to repurpose content in multiple, numerous ways, as speaking topics when you're going live on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, as speaking topics when you're invited to speak on a stage, as training topics when you're doing a lunch and learn or a full corporate training. All of this content is repetitious. Oftentimes our speaking topics are often repetitious because there's usually a handful of things that we're talking about within our expertise.
The themes are typically very similar.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that Seema did for me, and that I would love to make an introduction, if turning a book into a course is something that you would be interested in, I would be happy to make an introduction. But that's what she did with me, was she helped me create this course, and then I took that course and turned it into a book.
Yeah. I also want to make sure that another content area that you might, it's fine. I just thought of this. So my friend Allison had a blog a few years ago called The Other Side of Adorable. And it's about parenting adult children, because even though our kids grow up, they are always our kids, right? And
That's never stop. Topic, by the way.
Pardon me?
That's a genius title.
Yeah, The Other Side of Adorable. It's behind the thing, otherwise I'd grab it. So we took her blog and we turned that into her book. So
yes, absolutely. A great way of creating a book is through a blog that you've created, and we can have that conversation like all day long. But yeah, that's such a great thing. I really like that topic, though. You never shared that book with me.
Did I not? Oh
no, I need you to send that to me. That sounds great.
I will.
Okay, so we want to talk about this framework for auditing content. So Heather has a client.
Yeah, so Dr. Pam, she's an ER doctor, and she did a TEDx talk about how it's okay to not be okay. But what her topic did, which, we hear that a lot when we're talking about like mental health care and things like that. But she approached it from a totally different standpoint. And that is, as an ER doctor during the pandemic, where she had to, shower. She basically had to strip down and put her clothes in like plastic bins with covers so that her family did. And one of her kids has an autoimmune disorder. So she was like, really, it was a lot. And not only was she getting burned out, but she was actually actively thinking about suicide. And then when a mentor of hers killed themselves because of the pressure of caring for COVID patients, that's when she was like, oh, I have to get help. And so she created a TEDx talk about her experience. And so we worked together then to turn her TEDx talk into a book. And so even if you've never been on a TEDx stage, but raise your hand. Do you want to? I kind of want to. I think I want. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. But you know, even if you've never been on a TEDx stage, if you've given presentations, like those things can turn into books for you. And not necessarily just one, could be several. So
Yeah,
as Robin said,
yeah, as we talked about, we always want to think of your books in threes, right?
yep.
You don't want to just think about this first idea. And there's a lot of reasons for doing that. One is when you really want to gain authority and position yourself as an expert in your field, you also want to create an opportunity for people to have multiple ways to learn about the greater scope of the work that you do. So to put all of that into one big book oftentimes is overwhelming for people. So when you break the information down, it makes the information simpler based on niche topics. The second thing is from a sales perspective, from a book sales perspective, it gives you an opportunity to bundle your books, right? So it's much better to sell 3 books than to sell 1. And if someone's read one of your books, oftentimes they're going to want more from you. They're going to want book 2 and 3. And so consider that. And then also from a brand perspective, visually, you start to create this cohesive look and feel across your series that now people come to see you. So you think Chicken Soup for the Soul is a phenomenal example. It's an example we always use, right, of really creating this series to extend your brand out into the world. And so I wanted to share a little bit about someone that I've worked with. She's a former attorney turned real estate professional, and she really wanted to move away. She did move away from her work as an attorney, but she wanted to transition not out of being a real estate professional, but she wanted to incorporate more of her passion, which is really about wealth, or is about health and wellness. I guess wealth and wellness is health, wealth.
Say it 5 times really fast.
Say that 25 times. Health and wellness. Wealth. Okay.
Yeah.
And so she started doing these. She, and still does, she has these phenomenal conversations online and has generated this great following of people who come to her to have these wellness conversations about the food that she feeds her family and the recipes that she makes. But she has so beautifully woven that into her real estate work. So when she looks at her content audit, it's like, oh, wow, she's actually created this 3-word brand that it's not out yet. So I actually don't want to share it, but she created this 3-word brand that incorporates her real estate, the home, the harmony, and health. I just said it. And so she's working on her book concept, and it's just a phenomenal way to think about when you're bringing all of these different interests and skills together, how can you put that into a really cohesive brand?
Mhm.
And you look at the content that you've created across all three of them, and how do they integrate? How is their complement? I own a tea company. I own a publishing company, and I'm a business consultant. So for a long time, that was really hard for me to understand, well, how did all of these things fit together? Well, they fit
Mhm.
together because they're all about creating a phenomenal life that you love, right? They're all about how do you have ownership over your wellness,
Yeah.
your vitality, your joy. And so, I do have conversations about the tea. That's I won't be talking about that now. But in case, little plug, najatea.com.
TEA, by the way.
TEANAJATEA.com. So her ability to really integrate what she's passionate about with her skill set and with her education is allowing her to create a book that's more than a book. It's not just a how-to. She's also creating a book that does it her way, and so that's I'm excited about that project.
So then to build on the whole point about more than one book, um, there's a therapist I know, not my therapist, to be clear. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I do have one, by the way. They're amazing, and everybody should get one at some point.
Agreed.
But anyway, so Ashley is a therapist who has a methodology, and she calls it Pulse. Now, that acronym, each letter stands for something. And she's developed this based on she's been in mental health care now for a couple of decades, and she's developed this methodology that can really be applied to relationships across personal and professional aspects of your life. And so she's written a series of books using her Pulse methodology, and that doesn't change. It is the same in every book, but how it is applied is where
Mm.
the difference comes in. So, she might be talking about relationships, and not just marriage relationships, but parent child relationships, best friend relationships, work relationships, any relationship, doesn't matter. Pulse applies. And so
Heather,
she's,
that kind of reminds me of you, and I'm going to call you out right now
okay.
because Heather is in the process of writing her first book, but she already has the series created, and it all came from everything that she's been talking about. She does a lot of Facebook Live. She does a lot of Facebook Live. If you're not following Heather, find her, Heather Osiambi, on Facebook. But she was talking about stories. Storytelling is a huge core theme for Heather. And it's a huge core theme because as a journalist, she has to look at how do you incorporate a story into these factual, hard conversations out there. And so she also works with entrepreneurs on helping them tell their story in their published book and obviously editing their stories. And she's probably one of the best editors. And I
Oh,
feel so glad to have her as a part of the
thank
Rainmaker
you.
team. So now she's working on her book, taking this concept of storytelling. And so all of the books are about storytelling, but it's storytelling for entrepreneurs, and so she has these different groups of people that she's teaching how to incorporate storytelling into their specific type of industry and work that they do. And so as you're thinking about really, you're going through your content, you're looking at these common um, themes that you've spoken about. I want you to think about, if you have one core theme, storytelling for Heather, how can that one core theme have multiple audiences? How can it have multiple people that you can have conversations with about that same topic, but make it relevant to their specific challenges? So that is probably publishing 2.0, and that's another conversation. But it's never too early to start thinking about how you can maximize this work that we're doing.
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is we're going to jump now into chatty chat. I think we need like a bell that rings during this time, like ring ring. It's chatty chat
I know.
time.
I was looking around my desk like I actually might have a bell. I do not, by the way, have a bell.
Okay, so I want to show you now how to pinpoint the core idea of your book by reviewing your assets. We've been talking about it, but now we're going to be about it. I'm going to show you. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is, as you're going through your computer, as you're going through your phone of things that you've created, as you go through videos that you may have done on, going live or doing small recorded videos to do some education about what it is that you do. I want you to list what are those main 3 to 5 topics that you already speak, write, or coach about, train about, teach. So, teach about, have conversations with your clients about. Start to think that all of that is content, by the way. So I want you to just go into your journal. If you haven't gotten your workbook, now's the perfect time to get your workbook. You can get your workbook at any time and use the workbook to go through the challenge again, because with the purchase of your workbook, you also get lifetime access to the challenge. We will have recordings available for you next week for 48 hours. But if you really want to have it for a lifetime, I suggest investing the $47. And so you want to, but if you don't have the workbook right now, just get your journal and write 3 to 5 topics that you already speak, write, or coach about. Then what I want you to do is highlight the one that resonates most with your audience. So what's the one? So for Heather, it's storytelling. It doesn't matter who the audience is. It doesn't matter, what other things she might be talking about. Storytelling is always the thing that she infuses into her conversations.
So also I would like to just mention quickly that when you're thinking about the idea that resonates most with your audience, when we refer to your audience, think about yesterday about your ideal reader. So who is that ideal reader? And then the topic that you've now got in your mind, is that the topic that pertains to them?
Mm-hmm.
Which feeds into this. Sorry.
Yes. So now, so what problem for your ideal reader does that topic solve? So for Heather, we're just going to continue using Heather as an example because it's a great example. Excuse me. So when Heather thinks of storytelling, the problem that this topic solves is your average person doesn't know how to tell their story. They might ramble on. They actually don't want to tell their story. So they just want to stay fact-based. They want to just give you the 1, 2, 3 ABC rather than infusing story, their own experiences, their client experiences, the challenges that they faced to get, to get to the other side. They call the hero's journey. And so, incorporating story, particularly for a really brainy, linear thinking person, is a challenge. And so the problem is they just don't know how to tell their story. They haven't learned how to tell their story. They haven't become vulnerable enough to tell their story. And so that would be for Heather. For you, I want you to think about what is your ideal reader's problem, that topic that you identified right here, 3 to 5 topics. You're going to highlight one. So now we want to get clear on what problem that topic you chose, what does that solve? Mm-hmm. And then who would benefit the most from this solution? Well, you already have that answer, right? You have that answer based on the work that you did yesterday. And if you want to even dig a little bit deeper and start to analyze that, not just your ideal reader, but it could even be, people associated with the ideal reader that might be impacted by this. So you can start to break this down even further. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the activity. We want you to choose one topic, and now you're going to write a short summary of why it would make a great book. So here's where you get to answer the question, what's my book? Now, what's my book is not the title of your book. The work that we're doing right now is not writing the title of your book. We're not getting creative and making the title, and the subtitle and making sure that it, has the meta tags and and it can be, Googleable and all. We're not doing that tonight. when we work together, we absolutely will do that, because your topic is probably one of the top 5 things that you're going to create,
Mm-hmm.
with your book cover probably being number one because it's visual. Your book description, obviously the interior of your book needs to be phenomenal, but the title is really important because it can capture your audience.
Yes.
But right now, what we're identifying is the one topic of why that thing will make a great book. So I'm going to give you an example using the AI prompt that we created. Remember, we sent you the link. The link is still available inside of the chat to go into ChatGPT. You can take a screenshot of this prompt and you can type it directly into ChatGPT. So I'll leave this up for a moment so you can screenshot that. And then all you're inputting is this information here. Everything else will stay the same. Let me show you. So the prompt is, and again, just as a reminder, all prompts go into the same conversation. That's going to help each prompt work from the previous to give you this cohesive set of data and information. Okay, and consistent. Okay, so I want you to use, we're talking to chat, we have a conversation. I say please and thank you. I don't know about you, Heather. Do you say
All the
please and
time.
thank you?
Every
Yes.
time. When I sign on in the morning, I'm like, good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have conversations with chat. We respect chat as a valuable member of our team.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want you to use the previous information of my why, day 1, and my reader avatar, day 2, and incorporate it with the key themes below what we basically just came up with, the key themes that we talked about. So the key themes below from my content audit and content assets, and provide a set of clear and concise core ideas that my book could ultimately be about. My content audit key themes are, and anything else you can find from the previous conversations through the primary channel. So what we're saying is, if there's anything that I've missed, I want you to give me that information, right? And chat might deliver something that you didn't even think of.
Yeah.
Tailor this specifically for the reader avatar that I've identified. So if you're speaking to kids, it's going to be very different than if you're speaking to intellectuals, and very different than if you're speaking to scientists, or if you're speaking to, moms or whatever, right? It's going to be a different tone, a different conversation, a different voice. And so we want it to be tailored specifically for the reader avatar. Use the language, examples, and themes that resonate with the reader avatar audience, or what we call the ideal reader. So here's what I came up with. The book's core theme. I want to use the previous information of my why, I'm going to skip. My content audit key themes are, it's time to give yourself what you give to everyone else. That is a huge conversation that I have with my clients, particularly when they're on the fence about writing their book, but they are like, you know what, I'm so busy. I'm busy with my work and my family, and I don't have time. And having a conversation often with a woman, but just with people in general, about giving yourself the thing that you give to everybody else. I don't know, maybe because I'm a moon child, but I have that conversation with clients all the time. You are valuable. You are worthy. You are it's okay to give yourself the thing that you're giving to everybody else. So that is a common theme in the work that I do. The second theme, common key theme, is writing a book is arguably the #1 marketing asset to create new opportunities in your business. So that is more of my, I don't want to say convincing people, but like saying, listen, if you have a list of things that you could do for marketing, consider the book as the #1, because it is definitely the #1 marketing asset that you can use. So that's another conversation that is a key thing for me. And anything else you can find from our previous conversations, blase, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what came? I got 3 different core ideas, and then it broke down under each core theme what makes it great, right? So this first one is, it's time to give yourself what you give to everyone else. Core idea. Women often pour their energy into supporting others, building families, businesses, and communities while neglecting their own dreams. Writing a book is an empowering way So honor your own voice, claim your expertise, and invest in yourself. The resonance for reader avatar. You're a woman with a wealth of wisdom and lived experiences that deserve to be seen and celebrated. And an example would be you've encouraged everyone else to chase their dreams. Now it's time to lead by example and write the book that changes everything for you. So that was the first. The second is a book is the ultimate business asset to unlock new opportunities.
Mhm.
Core idea, a well-crafted book isn't just a story, it's a strategy. I love that. And so here's where, as you're reading like what chat delivers, what chatty chat delivers, you're actually going to find some golden nuggets that you can extract it for your marketing. And that was one. A well-crafted book isn't just a story, it's a strategy, because that is truly what I believe. It's a powerful tool to grow your business, establish authority in your field, and open doors you didn't know existed. Resonance for a reader avatar, whether you're an entrepreneur, a thought leader, or a woman in transition, your book can. Do you see how it said, or a woman in transition? Because chat knows that my target audience are women, right? It didn't say a man, it didn't say a person, it said a woman in transition. Your book can act as a calling card that positions you as the go to expert in your niche. And then an example, your book becomes your voice in rooms you haven't yet entered. Your book becomes your voice in rooms you haven't yet entered, helping you attract your dream clients and collaborators while building a business that works for you. If you are on this challenge or in this challenge, that is probably why you're here, is because you're looking for a book to open doors that you haven't yet been in. So I was like, okay, that's powerful. Then the third one was your lived experience is your expertise. I'm not going to read the information. So what I ended up coming with, and we'll share this tomorrow, is I chose a book is the ultimate business asset to unlock your new opportunities, because that's the one that's most relevant in me looking for clients as a publishing support services company, right? We want people to know that they can use a tool. Now, inside of that, I can have conversations about giving yourself what you give to everyone else. I can have conversations about how your lived experience is your expertise. But ultimately, the book that would make the most sense for this ideal reader, and based on why I came up with why I need a book on day one, this is the one that says ding, 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 ding. A book is the ultimate business asset to unlock your new opportunities. And quite frankly, I did this strategy, and this is how I came up with Manuscript to Millions, the entrepreneur's guide to using a book to gain authority and grow your business, is because we identified that that's the thing that entrepreneurs are needing, wanting, desiring.
I used this method also, not to this level of detail, but I used this method also to come up with what is it that I talk about? What is it that based on all of my conversations with chat, in helping with the editing side of the business, like what do I do? And chat was like, duh, storytelling. Like that's what you talk about. That's your main focus. You're a storyteller. And I was like, oh, I had that proverbial light bulb go off over my head, like ding. And so that's the journey now. And it's been exhilarating and a little terrifying. I'm not gonna lie, terrifying.
If writing a book isn't terrifying, then you're probably like, I don't know, made of steel, because it is putting yourself out there in a way that is so vulnerable, because ultimately millions of people can read your book, right?
Yeah.
Millions of people, through using your book as a tool to get on stages, and the organizer buys a book for everyone in the audience, to all the sales that you can get online, to when you do events offline, to to giving your books away as a marketing tool so people can understand a little bit more before they hire you as a client. Like, I mean, as a to be a client. It is really scary to put yourself out there when you write a book in the great way, right? We don't write books that are just about just how to. We are all about infusing story, infusing vulnerability, infusing self, infusing the challenges so that you can come into, why you're doing the work that you're doing. People want to know you. They don't only want to know what you know, they want to know you. They want to know, how did you get to where you are? Because somehow that gives them the belief that they can get to where they're desiring to be.
Yeah.
So just know, and I believe, this is my fourth book. I've written 4 books now. Obviously, this is my 4th book. I've written 4 books. And when I hit publish on that very first book called 60-Second Video Rockstar, I started crying. This book, it's not the book that, tells, it's not heartbreaking. It's a very basic book. But because I was doing
the
something
accomplishment
that I had been talking about doing for so long, it was like this relief of, wow, I really trust myself to do the things that I say I want to do. In that moment, I started trusting myself in a new way. So if you've been talking about writing a book, just know the very act of pushing publish and going into publish is going to be like, oh, I did it. And I think you should also, it's worth it just for that moment, to be quite honest.
I'm very much looking forward to that moment.
And we're looking forward to you having that moment. So with that, we are going to put a pause, and we are going to, hopefully you've taken some screenshots of I'm going to go back one more time, just in case you did not get a screenshot of the prompt. Take your screenshot, because that's what you're going to want to add to day 1 and to day 2 on the same conversation inside of ChatGPT. We would love for you to share this. You can email me. We've had several people email me asking me questions. A few of you had said, you know what? We saw that, I saw that you have the challenge. I saw that you have the program coming up, P-School. I'm not sure if that's the program for me, but I know that I need help. Do you have other programs? Do you have other packages? Absolutely. We work with people who are writing more than just entrepreneurial books. If you have a memoir, a romance, a children's book, we do it all. We have illustrators. We have a phenomenal team. So we are genre agnostic. The second thing is, if you need help with your editing, if you need help with the publishing piece, so there's 4 key pieces to what it is that we do. We have the writing and the editing. We have the publishing. So the writing and the editing is making sure that you have a well-written piece of work and manuscript that can then go to publish. The publishing piece is it's the book cover, it's in interior formatting, it's making sure that everything inside of your book is bringing your reader back into your world, making sure that the conversations that you're having really help people understand the work that you do, and ultimately what is the step that you want them to take by reading the book. Then we go into distribution, making sure that you are across multiple platforms. If you wanted, you can go online, offline distribution. And then finally, the marketing. And we do it all, and we have a team for it all. We have an amazing team. So if you have if you'd like to have a conversation outside of P-School, we would love to schedule some time together. Please email me at Naja, Naja, at timetogetpublished.com. And with that, we are going to say,
I'm sorry, it catches me by surprise every time.
We're going to say good evening. We are going to say good evening.
Does anybody have, like kind of a last call for questions? If anybody has a question, please put it in the chat. If you are watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, we'll check quickly to see if you have posted any questions, and we'll definitely answer them immediately. Tomorrow's a big night. Tomorrow we're creating the outline for your book.
Oh my goodness. Wait, hold on. We have to just pause a second, because if you've gone through day 1, 2, and 3, and you've done all of the work in using ChatGPT, you actually just answered the question of the challenge. What's my book?
You did. Yes.
Like, congratulations.
Woo! Way to go.
But
You
we're
know what the
giving
book
you
is.
more. So if you have not actually answered that question and you haven't done day 1, 2, and 3, know first and foremost, we will have record the recordings, and you'll have 48-hour access to them. We hope that you will buy the workbook and the lifetime of the recordings so that you can go through this process not only with this book but with every book in the future that you decide to write. And now we're moving into creating the outline for your book, which is like, really honestly, if you go through all 5 days of this challenge, your book is done. All you need to do is add and clean it, and like, your book is ready to be fully written. There is no more like figuring it out. It's figured it out. It's figured out for you, and we've helped you through that process. So congratulations.
Congratulations. And also, before we jump into tomorrow, I have heard from a lot of people that outlines scare them a little bit. But I would like to know how many of us have created an agenda for a meeting, right? You've created an agenda. That's an outline. So think of it as a map for your book.
I love that. I have never known that people are afraid of outlines. That's my favorite part.
I love it too. Um, you know, but outlines are fluid too, right? Because as you write, you may need to switch some chapters around, which is totally cool. It happens. But yeah, outlines freak a little people out a little bit sometimes. I don't get it myself, but I sympathize and empathize with it, and so I just want to make sure people understand that outline is really what gives your book the cohesion that it needs, so that you're following a map, so that your reader is going on a journey. So
and there's a way, we're not going to dive super deep into how we do the outline. We're going to give you the basics of it tomorrow. But there's one thing that I love about an outline is turning it into a puzzle that you can start to move the pieces around before you even start writing, right? To me, your outline, it actually should take you longer to write your outline and to research everything to go inside of your outline. So we're going to talk about this more tomorrow. I feel like we're like talking outline.
I know. We're going to stop.
Because I think we're so excited. We're like, wait a minute, you know what your book is now. Let's write it. Let's go back to the snore, because
there we go.
All right, there we go. With that, we're going to say good night.
Thank you for joining us.
Good night.
We'll see you tomorrow.